The millionaire CEO rejected 8 models, but is fascinated by a single mother delivery girl. Before starting the story, leave a comment. Which city are you watching from? And at the end, don't forget to rate the story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story, everyone. Just a minute. Just a minute, Samantha shouted as she entered the luxurious lobby of the Skyview Tower, breathless, carrying her 4-year-old daughter in her arms and a cooler bag of takeout in her left hand. The doorman didn't even have time to stop her. She walked right past, panting, trying to fix her hair and her delivery company cap as she pressed the elevator button. Julie, clinging to her mother's chest, commented with the cruel logic of children, "Mama, you smell like soy sauce and sweat." Samantha smiled. "And you smell like the strawberry candy you snuck out of reception. Smart girl." On the 32nd floor, the apartment door opened before she could even knock. The client, an elegant blonde woman with a look of disgust on the tip of her perfectly arched eyebrow, glanced at her watch. 1 minute late. Samantha's eyes widened, sweating. "Miss, seriously, 1 minute? It's past the deadline. I don't want any more." The woman crossed her arms. "I can't stand people who don't meet deadlines." "Oh sure, because your stomach has a built-in Swiss timer, right?" Samantha countered sarcastically. "Maybe I should have left my daughter alone on the street, run breathlessly, and run the red light to deliver your golden sushi. Poor people always have an excuse, right?" The woman retorted disdainfully. At that moment, Julie, still clinging to her mother's body, lifted her little face and said loudly, "Mom, this girl looks like a wicked witch from a cartoon." Samantha froze. The woman's eyes widened, and on the other side, leaning against the wall near the elevator, a tall man in a dark gray suit with a sharp gaze held back a laugh. Nathaniel Hayes, CEO of Hayes Enterprises, was just waiting for the elevator, but ended up getting unexpected spectacle. He coughed discreetly as if asking permission to intervene. "Excuse me." His voice was calm, cool, and elegant. "If you really don't want the order, I'll take it. I'm starving." The customer opened her mouth to protest, but Nathaniel was already holding out the black card with an impatient gesture. "Can you tell me the price, Miss Samantha?" She handed over the bag, still in shock, glancing sideways at Julie, who whispered, "He looks like a dapper penguin." "I heard," Nathaniel said, looking at the girl with a slight raise of his eyebrow. Then he looked at Samantha. "It seems you two have a knack for making an impact." Samantha gave an awkward smile. "And you look like you've never wasted a second of your life." "Almost never," he replied, already typing the password on the machine's display. As she finished the transaction, Nathaniel noticed the deep circles under Samantha's eyes, the ripped jacket at the shoulder, and the way Julie snuggled into her chest, confident that she was safe there even with the world at war outside. "It was only a minute," Samantha murmured, still indignant. "Just a minute. 1 minute can change everything," Nathaniel said, accepting the bag and turning toward the elevator. "And a CEO can order delivery like any mortal," she teased. "Especially when the dinner event I'm supposed to be at is unbearable." Julie, still hugging her mother, gave a thumbs up. "Good choice. Dapper penguin." Nathaniel shook his head. But before he entered the elevator, something unexpected happened. He was about to step into the elevator when he heard a strange noise behind him. It was a dry, forced cough that cut through the air like an alarm. Julie had begun coughing uncontrollably, clinging to her mother's chest. What began as an innocent throat clearing quickly turned into something more serious. The girl gasped for air, but it seemed her lungs refused to cooperate. Julie, my love, what's happening?" Samantha panicked, holding her daughter's little face in her hands. "Breathe with me. Breathe slowly." But Julie couldn't. Her lips began to turn slightly blue, and she made a high-pitched, desperate gasp for air. Her tiny hands clung to her mother's jacket like anchors. "Oh my God, Julie." Samantha looked desperately, but the child was getting more and more breathless. Please don't do this to me." The customer, who had refused the delivery, was still at the door. But she took a few steps back, clearly uncomfortable with the situation. Nathaniel, who already had one foot inside the elevator, stopped completely. "Does she have asthma?" he asked, dropping the cooler bag on the floor and approaching. "No, I don't know. She's never had this before." Samantha was shaking, holding Julie in her arms as the girl struggled to breathe. "Julie, my aim, stay with me." "Okay." Nathaniel watched the scene for 2 seconds that felt like an eternity. The cold rationality that always guided him in business took over. He pulled out his cell phone and dialed quickly. "This is Nathaniel Hayes. I need an ambulance. At Skyview Tower, apartment 3204. Child in severe respiratory distress now." Samantha looked at him with tears in her eyes. "She's going to be okay, right? Please tell me she's going to be okay. Let's take her to the hospital now," Nathaniel said, already taking the car keys out of his pocket. "My car is in the garage. It's faster than waiting for the ambulance." "But I don't know you," Samantha hesitated for a second, even with Julie panting in her arms. "And I don't know you," Nathaniel replied, pressing the elevator button harder. "But your daughter needs help now." Julie made an even higher pitch sound, and that was enough for Samantha to make her decision. She stepped into the elevator, with Nathaniel holding her daughter tightly, whispering comforting words in her ear. "Everything will be okay, my love. Mommy's here. This elegant penguin will help us." "Okay." During the descent, Nathaniel called again, this time the hospital. "This is Nathaniel Hayes. I'm taking a child with that respiratory crisis to Lenox Hill Hospital. I want the best pediatric pulmonologist available now, and I want an emergency room prepared." Samantha stared at him, surprised by the authority in his voice. It was clear that Nathaniel Hayes was not just any man in a suit. In the garage, he opened the door of a shiny black BMW. Samantha climbed into the back seat with Julie, who was a little calmer but still breathing heavily. "Hang in there, little warrior," Nathaniel said, glancing in the rearview mirror as he drove precisely through the streets of Manhattan. "You'll be fine soon." "She doesn't like hospitals," Samantha murmured, stroking her daughter's hair. "Nobody likes it," Nathaniel replied, stopping at a red light. "But sometimes it's the only place we can find the answers." 15 minutes later they arrived at the hospital. Nathaniel stopped the car at the emergency room entrance, and a medical team immediately appeared with a small stretcher. "Dr. Martinez, pediatric pulmonologist," said a woman in a white coat, carefully picking Julie up. "We'll take good care of her." Samantha tried to accompany the medical team but was stopped at the reception. "Ma'am, I need some information first," said the attendant, a middle-aged woman with glasses perched on the bridge of her nose. "Please, my daughter is in there," Samantha begged. "I understand, but these are mandatory procedures." "Child's name?" "Julie Parker." "Health insurance?" Samantha swallowed hard. "No, we don't have health insurance. Credit card is payment guarantee." Can't pay now, but I can pay in installments. I can work extra." "I can." The attendant sighed. "Man, without some guarantee of payment, I can't authorize more advanced procedures." Samantha felt her world collapse. "Please, she's just a child. I'll pay. I swear I will, but don't let her suffer because of money." Nathaniel, who had parked his car and entered the hospital, overheard the conversation. He approached the counter with firm steps. "All costs are on me," he said, placing the black card on the counter. "I want the best treatments available, the best doctors, and I want them to do everything necessary." The attendant looked at the card, then at Nathaniel. "Mr. Hayes, sure, no problem. I'll authorize all procedures immediately." Samantha's mouth dropped open. "But why are you doing this?" Nathaniel avoided her gaze. "Because it's the right thing to do." 2 hours later, Dr. Martinez walked out of the emergency room with the reassuring smile. "Julie is fine," he announced. "It was a broncho spasm, probably triggered by an allergy to something she inhaled. We gave her bronchodilators and she's breathing normally now. It's common in children, and with the right medication, it shouldn't happen again." Samantha burst into tears of relief. Can I see her? Of course. She's asking for Mommy and Uncle Penguin. The doctor smiled. When Samantha entered the room, Julie was sitting on the bed, playing with a teddy bear someone had given her. Mommy, the little girl cried, stretching out her little arms. My love, Samantha hugged her tightly. How are you feeling? Much better, the doctor said. I'm very brave. Julie smiled. And where's Uncle Penguin? He promised he'd visit me. Samantha looked around, but Nathaniel was gone. The front desk, the attendant handed over a folder of papers. All charges were paid by Mr. Hayes. He left this card for you. Samantha picked up a sleek business card. Nathaniel Hayes, CEO, Hayes Enterprises. On the back was a handwritten note. Hope Julie gets well. Where did he go? Samantha asked. He left about 20 minutes ago. He said he had an urgent meeting. Samantha left the hospital with a sleeping Julie in her arms and the card clutched in her free hand. They took a taxi home, but the whole ride she couldn't stop thinking about the man who had saved her daughter without asking for anything in return. Hay Enterprises building was imposing, all glass and steel, in the heart of the Hayes. The receptionist, an elegant young woman, looked her up and down from her worn flats to her delivery uniform, and smiled with forced politeness. Mr. Hayes is in a meeting. Can I help? Six you with anything? It's personal, Samantha insisted. After 20 minutes of waiting, Nathaniel and his father Henry appeared in the elevator, adjusting his tie. When he saw Samantha, he stopped for a second, surprised. Samantha, how is Julie? She's fine, thanks to you, Samantha said, standing up. Listen, I came here to talk about the money. What money? Nathaniel frowned. The money you spent on the hospital. I'll give you every penny back. You can be sure of that. It might take a while, but I'll pay it back. Nathaniel shook his head. No need. Yes, it is. Samantha insisted, pulling a crumpled notebook from her bag. How much was it? 2,000? 3,000? I'll write it down and pay it back little by little. Forget it, Nathaniel said, already heading back to the elevator. Nathaniel Hayes, she shouted, causing some people at the 38 reception desk to turn around. I'm not a charity worker. I work. I make ends meet and I pay my bills. He stopped and turned around, his expression a mixture of surprise and admiration. How much do you earn per month? He asked. Henry just watched the scene in amazement. Samantha hesitated. That's beside the point. Yet, you will. If you really want to pay, I need to know how long it will take you to save up $5,300. Samantha's eyes widened. 5,000. And oh my God. 12 now, do you understand why I said to forget it? No. She stomped her foot. 5,000 or 50,000. It doesn't matter. I'll pay it. You can write my name down on your tours list, but I'll pay every penny, Mr. Hayes. Nathaniel studied her. For a long moment, there was something about Samantha Parker that deeply intrigued him. Pride, determination, and almost irritating stubbornness, and an honesty he rarely saw in his business world. Okay, he said finally. You pay, but in your own time, in your own way. Thank you, Samantha sighed in relief. You won't regret it. I'm sure. Not, Nathaniel murmured, stepping into the elevator with a barely perceptible smile on his lips. 3 days later, Nathaniel was in his 45th floor office, trying to concentrate on quarterly reports when the door opened. Unceremoniously, Henry Hayes stormed in, dapper and elegant, carrying a stack of gossip magazines and a brown leather briefcase. Good morning, son, Henry said, tossing the magazines onto the polished mahogany table. We need to talk, Nathaniel sighed, recognizing the tone. Whenever his father started a conversation with, "We need to talk," it meant Henry had hatched some plan that Nathaniel definitely wouldn't like. Dad, I'm busy. The merger with Morrison Corp. needs my full attention. Morrison can wait. Henry sat in the chair facing the desk, crossing his legs with calculated elegance. Your personal life can't wait. Nathaniel looked up from his papers, already anticipating where this conversation was going. Let's not start that again. Of course we will. Henry, open the first magazine, a New York gossip magazine. Check out this article. Manhattan's most eligible bachelors. Your name is right there in third place. What an honor, Nathaniel muttered sarcastically. The problem, my dear son, is that you've been on this list for 5 years running. Henry turned the pages with impatient fingers. That's not good for our corporate image. Investors like stability, family men, someone who demonstrates responsibility and maturity. I run a multi-million-dollar company at 32. Dad, I think I've demonstrated enough responsibility. Henry completely ignored the comment and opened the brown folder, pulling out a typed list on letterhead. Here are the most suitable candidates for you. All from traditional families, all impeccably educated, all financially independent. Nathaniel picked up the list and quickly scanned it. Familiar names, faces he'd seen at social events for years. Beautiful, elegant, perfect women and completely dull. Victoria Ashworth. Henry pointed to the first name. You've dated her before. Excellent choice. Family owns luxury hotels, Harvard. Graduate, speaks 4 languages. And he has the personality of an iceberg, Nathaniel added. Not to mention our breakup was complicated. Details. Henry waved away. Adult. Relationships sometimes need second chances. And look here, Madison Cooper, Aries to Cooper Industries. Gorgeous, intelligent, and you have a lot in common. Like the fact that we both prefer our phones to each other's. Company. Henry slammed his hand on the table in frustration. Nathaniel, you're not taking this seriously. 32, a man of your standing should be married with children, building a family legacy, not living like a perpetual bachelor. Featured in gossip magazines. What if I don't want to marry any of these women? Then I'll choose for you, Henry said with the coldness of a corporate ultimatum. I have a fundraiser next week. I'll invite 3 of these candidates. You choose one for a serious relationship, or I'll choose and arrange the engagement. Nathaniel dropped the list on the table and leaned back in his chair in disbelief. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious. The Hayes family's reputation cannot be tarnished by your resistance to commitment. This business son. Strategic marriages have always been part of the corporate world. What medieval world is this, Dad? As 2025, not 1824. Henry stood, putting away the magazines and briefcase with precise movements. The world hasn't changed as much as you think. Power, influence, and stability still go hand in hand, and a married Hayes is worth much more on the market than a single Hayes. Nathaniel stared out the picture window, watching the frenetic activity of Manhattan below. Somewhere in that city, Samantha was probably delivering orders, carrying Julie in her arms, struggling to pay the bills. The difference between their 2 worlds was stark. What if I say I'd rather marry the local delivery girl? He said, without taking his eyes off the window. The sentence came out as a provocation, a desperate attempt to irritate his father and end the conversation. Henry paused in the doorway, turning slowly. Instead of the outburst of indignation Nathaniel expected, his father's face showed something far more dangerous. Genuine interest. Neighborhood delivery girl? Henry repeated with calculating curiosity. Are you referring to someone specific? Nathaniel realized his mistake. Too late. It was a joke, Dad. Provocation. Interesting, Henry murmured, pulling a small notebook from his inside jacket pocket and making a note. Very interesting, Dad. Stop. It was just a random comment. Of course it was. Henry smiled. But it wasn't a reassuring smile. It was the smile he wore when he closed especially lucrative deals. A delivery person. What a revolutionary concept. Henry Hayes. I'm serious. Don't turn a silly joke into one of your crazy projects. Crazy project? Henry feigned defense. Son, I'm just expanding the possibilities. Maybe it's time to think outside the box, as you young executives like to say. Nathaniel felt a chill run down his spine. He knew his father well enough to know when Henry was up to something, and in the last 32 years of His life, he had never seen anything good come of Henry Hayes's schemes. "Dad, whatever you're thinking, please don't do it." "Don't worry," Henry opened the door, pausing only to glance over Age's shoulder. "The benefit is next Friday. Wear your best tuxedo. And who knows, maybe we'll have some surprises on the menu." The door closed with a soft click, leaving Nathaniel alone with a growing sense that he'd made a terrible mistake. He knew Henry too well to believe the reference to the neighborhood delivery girl would be forgotten. He picked up the phone and dialed his secretary. "Sandra, I need you to find out everything about next Friday's charity event. Guest list, vendors, everything." "Of course, Mr. Hayes. May I ask why you're concerned?" Nathaniel looked at the list of candidates still on his desk, then at the note Henry had made in his notebook. "I have a feeling my father is planning something that will go very wrong for everyone involved." Meanwhile, 3 floors above, Henry Hayes was in his private office, leafing through a phone book and smiling as if he had just discovered the solution to a very complex problem. "Neighborhood delivery girl," he muttered to himself, picking up the phone. "What a brilliant idea. Nathaniel. Absolutely brilliant." And with that, Henry began making some very specific calls, organizing what would undoubtedly be the most interesting event of the entire New York social season. The following Friday, Samantha Parker stood in front of the cracked bathroom mirror in her small apartment, trying to fix her hair for the 5th time. Her black catering uniform was borrowed and 2 sizes too big, but it was the best she could find at the last minute. "Mommy, you look beautiful." Nervous, Samantha adjusted her bow tie for the 10th time. "It's a very fancy event. Barry, princess. No one is more important than the 2 of us." An hour later, Samantha was in the kitchen of the Plaza Hotel's grand ballroom, receiving instructions from the supervisor, a serious woman named Margaret. "This is a high society fundraiser," Margaret explained, adjusting Samantha's apron. "Lots of millionaires, some celebrities, people who can make or break a catering company's reputation with one ill-timed comment. So smile, be polite, and for God's sake, don't drop anything." Samantha nodded, her stomach churning. She desperately needed the extra money. Julie needed new allergy medication, and the rent was late. "You'll serve the drinks during the cocktail hour," Margaret continued. "Champ wine and some non-alcoholic beverages. Keep the tray balanced and avoid engaging in long conversations with the guests." The main ballroom was stunning. Crystal chandeliers, enormous white flowers, tables decorated like movie sets. Samantha had never seen so much luxury in one place. Guests began arriving. Women in designer gowns, men in perfectly tailored tuxedos, jewelry that probably cost more than her annual salary. "First tray," Margaret said, handing over a silver tray with champagne flutes. "Remember, smile and be invisible." Samantha took a deep breath and entered the room. The first few minutes were uneventful. She served drinks, received polite thanks, and managed to maintain her balance. She was beginning to feel confident when she spotted a familiar figure across the room. Henry Hayes was talking to a group of people, gesturing animatedly, and next to him, "Nathaniel," Samantha murmured, almost dropping the tray. He was impeccably dressed in a black tuxedo, his hair perfectly combed, chatting with a stunning blonde woman in a red dress. For a moment, Samantha completely forgot where she was and what she was doing. All she could think about was how different he looked in that setting. No longer the man who had rushed Julie to the hospital, but the millionaire CEO he truly was. "Excuse me, can you serve me?" A sharp voice caught his attention. Samantha turned to see an older woman covered in diamonds looking at her impatiently. Of course. Samantha quickly approached, holding out the tray. "Finally, you guys at work are getting slower and slower." The woman took a glass without even looking at Samantha. "Sorry, ma'am," Samantha murmured, trying to maintain a professional smile. She was walking away when she heard someone call her name. "Samantha? Samantha Parker." She turned to see Nathaniel approaching, a look of genuine surprise on his face. The blonde woman was right behind him, clearly. "Are you doing here?" he asked, completely ignoring the forced formality. Extra work, she explained, lifting the tray. Julie needs new meds and well, you know how it is. The blonde woman stepped closer, examining Samantha from head to toe with a calculating gaze. Nathaniel, who is your friend? The question was loaded with insinuation. Victoria, this is Samantha Parker. Nathaniel introduced himself, clearly uncomfortable. Samantha Victoria Lane. Ah, so you're the delivery girl. Victoria smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. Nathaniel told me about the incident at the hospital. How dramatic. Samantha felt her cheeks heat up. It was a medical emergency, not a drama. Of course, Victoria nodded condescendingly. It must have been very convenient to have someone rich around at just the right time. The insinuation was clear, and Samantha felt anger rise in her chest. But before she could respond, Nathaniel intervened. Victoria, that was unnecessary. Just looking at the facts. Victoria shrugged. Samantha took a deep breath, trying to maintain her professional composure. Excuse me, I need to continue serving. She turned quickly to walk away, but the combination of nervousness, anger, and the polished marble floor conspired against her. Her foot slipped and she completely lost her balance. The tray flew through the air in slow motion and 12 glasses of champagne went straight toward Nathaniel Hayes. The golden liquid soaked his impeccable white shirt, dripped from his expensive tuxedo, and formed a puddle at his feet. The entire room stopped. Conversation ceased. All eyes turned to the scene. Oh my God, Samantha screamed, running to Nathaniel. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Nathaniel stood there completely soaked, blinking slowly as drops of champagne dripped from his hair. That's Dom Perignon champagne, Victoria said, horrified. Each bottle costs $800. I'll pay, Samantha said desperately, trying to dry Nathaniel's shirt with the napkins from the tray. I work extra. I sell something, but I'll pay. Samantha, stop. Nathaniel held her hands, which were shaking as she tried to clean up the mess. I'm fine. You're not okay. You're soaked in expensive champagne, and now everyone's staring and I'm going to get fired. And breathe, Nathaniel said calmly. It was an accident. It's the floor's fault, Samantha declared, pointing to the polished marble. Who makes floors so slippery? They're a public hazard. The floor has been like this for 40 years, said someone in the audience. Then it's been dangerous for 40 years, Samantha retorted. There should be a warning sign. Caution. Waitress killing floor. Some guests chuckled. Victoria snorted in indignation. This is a disaster. Victoria muttered. Nathaniel, you need to change immediately. He needs a towel first, Samantha said. That's still trying to help. And maybe a hairdryer and a washing machine and a time machine to go back 5 minutes. Nathaniel began to laugh, first softly, then louder until he was genuinely laughing. Are you suggesting I use a time machine because of champagne? Well, if you can afford $800 champagne, maybe you can afford a time machine too, Samantha said, finally managing a smile. Impeccable logic, Nathaniel agreed, still laughing. Across the room, Henry Hayes watched the scene with a satisfied smile. He discreetly approached a social photographer covering the event. Make sure that photo appears in Monday's Society column, Henry muttered. CEO. Drenched by mysterious waitress. It'll make a juicy headline. The photographer waved and took a few discreet shots. Margaret, the supervisor, came running up, red with embarrassment. Mr. Hayes, I'm terribly sorry. We're firing this employee immediately, and that won't be necessary, Henry interrupted, still smiling. Accidents happen. Actually, it was quite refreshing. Meanwhile, Samantha finally managed to stop apologizing and looked around, realizing that half of New York's high society was watching this spectacle. I should disappear now, he muttered to Nathaniel. Probably, he agreed. But I admit that was the most interesting part of the evening. At least when I messed things up, I messed them up with style. Samantha sighed. Definitely in style, Nathaniel smiled. And Samantha, about The hospital debt, consider it paid off. What? No. I said I would pay. And I think you've paid enough. He gestured to his soaked clothes. We're even. And with that, Nathaniel walked away to change, leaving Samantha in the middle of the room, still holding the empty tray and realizing that her life had just gotten infinitely more complicated. 20 minutes after the champagne incident, Samantha was in the hotel kitchen trying to compose herself. Margaret had been surprisingly understanding, especially after Henry Hayes personally assured her there would be no consequences. Still, Samantha felt mortified. I can't believe I soaked the man who saved my daughter, she muttered to herself, washing her hands in the kitchen sink. Julie's going to laugh at me for a whole week. Actually, I think it was quite memorable. Samantha turned quickly and found Henry Hayes standing in the kitchen doorway, impeccably dressed in his tuxedo with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Mr. Hayes, she straightened immediately. I'm sorry about what happened, your son. I didn't mean to. Relax, my dear. Henry waved, stepping closer. You can call me Henry. And as for the incident, it was exactly what I expected. Samantha frowned. Did you expect that? Have a seat. Henry gestured to a chair next to the small table where the employees took their breaks. I need to talk to you. Coffee? Well, Samantha hesitated but eventually sat down. Okay. Henry poured 2 cups of coffee from the coffee maker and sat in the chair opposite. For a moment, he studied her with the intensity of someone considering an investment. I remember you, he said finally. A few days ago at the Hayes Enterprises reception desk, fighting with my son about paying a hospital bill. Samantha blushed. I wasn't fighting. I was insisting on paying $5,300 as a delivery woman's salary. Henry smiled. Admirable. Stubborn but admirable. I always pay my debts, Samantha said, lifting her chin proudly. I know. That's why I'm here. Henry sipped his coffee, apparently savoring the suspense. Samantha began to feel like a mouse being watched by a very intelligent cat. Mr. Henry, I don't understand. Why? Are you talking to me? Because I have a proposal for you. A proposal that can solve all your financial problems. Samantha nearly spat out her coffee. What kind of proposal? Henry leaned forward, his expression as if he were about to close the deal of the century. I want you to pretend to be my son's girlfriend. The silence that followed was deafening. Samantha blinked several times, making sure she'd heard correctly. Sorry, I think I misunderstood. Did you say fake girlfriend? Public events, social dinners, strategic appearances, Henry explained as if he were discussing stock market shares. Nothing too complicated. Just convincing New York society that my son has finally found someone special. Samantha put the cup down so hard that the coffee spilled. Are you crazy? I'm being practical. Henry corrected. Nathaniel needs to get married. I need a daughter-in-law who will generate media interest and change his image as a confirmed bachelor. You need money. It's a win-win situation. I can't pretend to date your son. Samantha stammered. First, because it's a lie. Second, because he looks like a penguin in a sloppy suit. Third, because you have principles, Henry added. That's exactly why you're perfect. Samantha shook her head vigorously. No. That's crazy. You need to find someone else. An actress, maybe someone who can fake it. The actresses I know are very obvious, Henry said, pulling an envelope from his inside jacket pocket. You, on the other hand, are authentic, real. Exactly what Nathaniel needs to break his image as a cold, calculating man. He's not cold, Samantha said without thinking. I mean, he saved Julie. He paid her medical bills. He was kind. See, you already see his human side. Henry smiled, satisfied. That's exactly what I need the audience to see. Henry placed the envelope on the table. Julie's tuition paid for the next 5 years. Private school, the best in the area, plus $10,000 per public appearance, and a $50,000 bonus when the parade is no longer necessary. Samantha stared at the envelope as if it were a poisonous snake. $50,000. It's a reasonable amount for the service provided. But it's a lie, she protested. It's deceiving everyone. It's marketing, Henry corrected. And marketing is the art of presenting reality in the best possible way. Samantha took the envelope with trembling hands. Each was a preliminary contract and a check with more zeros than she had ever seen combined. I can't accept this, he said. But his voice didn't sound very convincing. Think about Julie, Henry said softly. Private school means better opportunities, better teachers, a better future. It means you'll never have to worry about whether you can afford her medicine again. Samantha's hands trembled. 5 years of school fees, a lifetime's worth of food. Deliveries. What if Nathaniel doesn't agree? Leave Nathaniel to me, Henry said confidently. My son is stubborn, but he's not stupid. He'll understand that this is good for everyone. Dating your son, Samantha muttered, still trying to process the situation. Pretending to be in love with a penguin in a clunky suit, who probably doesn't even know how to change a light bulb. He knows how to change light bulbs, a cold voice said. From the kitchen doorway, Samantha and Henry turned at the same time. Nathaniel stood in the doorway, still wearing the spare shirt someone had borrowed, his hair still slightly damp from champagne, and an expression that was a mix of shock and indignation. Nathaniel. Henry stood up, smiling as if nothing had happened. I'm glad you're here. I heard it all, Nathaniel interrupted, striding into the kitchen. From the proposal to solve financial problems part to the penguin in a sloppy suit part. Samantha sank into her chair, embarrassed. Nathaniel, Dad, what the hell do you think you're doing? Nathaniel ignored Samantha and looked directly at Henry. I'm solving too.